Hey beautiful people, if you want to learn how to make a circle skirt like the one I'm wearing, keep watching. To make this skirt, you're going to need the following items. If you don't have a sewing pattern, watch my last video where I teach you how to draft a pattern for this skirt design. So first, I am folding my fabric in half twice. And I'm making sure that the fabric is laying properly. You don't want there to be any crumbles underneath or anything of that sort. You need everything to lay nice and flat. Now I am placing my pattern there just to make sure that it fits, and I'm folding away the zipper allowance because I won't be using a zipper on this pattern. This fabric stretches tremendously, so I don't need a zipper. I can make another video on how to make one with a zipper. If you'd like a video like that, leave a comment down below. Here I'm pinning my pattern to my fabric for stability when I cut. And I am cutting along the edges of my pattern, making sure that I don't cut the paper. Now I am doing the same thing for the waistline, and if you drafted your pattern properly, you should end up with a piece that looks like a circle. Now I'm removing all my pins and I am ready to move on to the waistband. To do that, I'm folding a small section of my fabric and I am placing my pattern with the fold symbol in line with the fold of the actual fabric. Make sure that when you're folding your fabric or whichever side that you use to cut this pattern, make sure that it stretches horizontally. Here I am pinning my pattern to my fabric so I can now go ahead and cut it out. Now I have two pieces, the waistband and the actual skirt. So let's take this over to the sewing machine. With my waistband still folded, I am measuring and marking 1 inch from the raw edge. That means the edge that is not folded. And I am cutting along those marks to remove the excess fabric. And that's to make sure that your waistband will fit nicely around your waist without gaping. I am pinning along the raw edges of my fabric, and now I'm going to stitch with a 1/2 inch allowance. Once my pins are removed, I am making a notch opposite the seam at the top and the bottom, so that's 2 notches, and then I am laying the seam flat and folding the waistband in half. I'm pinning the 2 sides together and I'm doing the same thing with the notches. I'm matching those 2 notches and I am pinning. So now I am matching the notch and the seam, and I'm making another notch on the left side and pinning that. Then I'm making another notch on the right side and pinning. Now let's do the same thing on the skirt. Here I am making a notch on the right fold and the left fold. Then I'm matching those notches and making a notch again on the right fold and the left fold. So that leaves me with 4 notches, which are evenly spaced. So what I'm gonna do now is to match the notches on my waistband to the notches on my skirt. I'm starting with the seam on the waistband and matching that to a notch. I'm putting in some extra pins here, and then I am matching the remaining notches on the waistline of the skirt to the waistband. And I'm doing that all the way around until I'm done. Now I'm going to take it over to the sewing machine, and while you're stitching, make sure that you stretch your waistband so that it will fill out the spaces of the actual skirt waistline. And before you start stitching, make sure that everything is in line. Here I am stitching the waistband of the skirt to the waistline of the skirt using a 1/2 inch seam allowance. And don't forget to stretch your waistband while you stitch. If you'd like to, you can serge the raw edges so that it will give you a nice clean finish, but I don't think it's necessary. And I say that because stretch fabrics don't tend to fray. To hem the skirt, I am turning up my hemline by 1/4 of an inch, and I am gonna stitch along the edge, the raw edge that is. And honestly, this is perhaps the longest part of the process because it's a lot of fabric to go around. So if you are skilled enough, then you can just skip out the part where you pin and just fold and stitch your fabric instead. Do this all the way around the hem of your skirt until you're done. And just a quick tip, I chose to use heavy stretch fabric because it doesn't flare up on a windy day. And you know, of course, as women, we wouldn't want that happening in public. Of course, it's also advised to wear undergarments underneath that will protect you if it does blow up. But specifically for my skirt, I am using Techno Crepe, and I recommend that you try it out too. If you enjoyed this tutorial, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more sewing and pattern making videos. I will see you in the next one.